Onto a diversified motoring group, Osman Arbee, the CEO at Motus. These are the sellers of cars like Hyundai, Kia and Renault. A tough time as well for them, of course, consumers having to buy all these cars. How many units have they been able to move at the prime lending rate so high in the country? Osman, looking at that in your showroom, are you starting to feel the inflation pressure and the interest rate pressure on South Africans?
Good evening, Motheo, and good evening to your listeners. Yeah, I mean, the motor industry has been under stress for a while because of high interest rates, high inflation, high fuel costs, high unemployment, and uncertainty in the market. But despite that, I mean, South Africa to the end of June sold 542,000 vehicles. So, you know, despite all these challenges, the consumers are still out there, still buying. The banks are still lending money. And we seem to be making progress. I mean, just looking at our profitability, which our operating profit has grown by 14%, and our turnover has grown by 16%. So, you know, in the motor industry, you need a diversified model. So you don't only sell new and pre-owned cars, but you service cars, you sell parts, you sell aftermarket parts to older cars. We've got 30% of our business now offshore. And then you've got mobility solutions, which sells value-added products as well. So when you put all into a pot, you've got diversification, you've got integration, and you've got internationalization, and that gives us what we've achieved.
New vehicle installments had increased by 30%. I mean, how do you, garner the team together at the showroom to say, yes, interest rates are high, but let's find some innovative ways to make sure that these cars move off the floors? What are you guys doing exactly to move these cars?
So firstly, we're incentivizing people better, so they push harder. B, you see a lot of cars now being offered 30,000 on the bonnet or 40,000 rand on the bonnet. It doesn't mean the car price is reduced. All that happens, excuse me, if you bring your car in and your car's worth 110,000 rand, but you owe 130,000 on your car, you've got a 20,000 shortfall. We use the money on the bonnet, or what we called over allowance, to get you out of your old car and get you into a new car. So you've got to come up with creative ways of assisting the customer of getting them out in their car, like money in the bonnet. Sometimes what we could do as well, go to the banks and say we'll offer prime minus 2%, for example. We would chip in some money, the banks would chip in some money, and that's how we make the installment lower as well. So, you know, entrepreneurs in South Africa are very creative, salespeople are very creative, and we find ways to still move the metal in South Africa.
But your business is doing better in the UK and Australia. What are you doing better there? Because conditions aren't that different. We do have under pressure households, but the UK has the same situation. So how are you maneuvering that space?
In the UK, I'm very big on the commercial side. So 80 out of my 110 dealerships are trucks. And remember, trucks sell because you're not selling to individuals, you're selling to corporates.
Yeah.
And corporates need trucks to move goods, move things around in the country, because in the UK, people move on trains, not goods. So the truck market is very strong. We back very good brands in the UK. And, because you're dealing with the corporates, they manage their costs. And in the UK, trucks are serviced every 6 months and they're going to be inspected. They must come into your workshop. We service them. And the corporate world is still doing well. So the trucking business is doing well. And then in the UK, we've got a big aftermarket parts business.
Yeah.
Selling parts like we have Midas and Alert here. We have them there as well. And that market we're servicing is 32 million cars that are outside warranty. And all those cars need brake pads, air filters, oil filters, lubricants. And that market is still doing very well because people are holding on to their cars longer. And that's a very active market. So all in all, it's treating us well.
Thank you, Osman Arbee, the CEO at Motus, saying, look, the engines are still revving despite a tight situation economically in South Africa.
The Money Show. The Markets.